Good morning and welcome to another edition of Bacon's Bits. I'm your host, Bill Bacon Lins. We're going to have a bit of a nostalgic show this week as we're going to take a look at the top songs and movies from 1998 when this league kicked off 23 years ago. We also have the return of Hollywood Joe with his Week 1 predictions. I think it's about time we get sizzling and have some throwback fun. We're going to start off with the top songs from 1998. We're going to do a little team association with them. First song on our list, number 1, Too Close. Now this definitely sums up the Sharknado season last year. So close, got to the chip, but just couldn't get the job done in the finals. The Boy Is Mine. I don't know what other team that could be besides the Woman Proposers. I mean, the team name pretty much just says it all. You're Still the One. Definitely the Sack, who went back-to-back to stay atop the Colonel Bob's throne. Then we have Truly Madly Deeply. The HBD definitely went pretty deep into the playoffs, but left very angry and upset as they lost in the first round or second round and ended up taking home third place. And then How Do I Live, rounding out the top 5, and that's definitely make this league great again. I mean, if I was him, I don't know after that season if I'd want to stay alive because they were pretty god-awful in their inaugural season. Next, we're going to take a look at the top 5 movies from 1998. The top one is a very familiar one, The Titanic. Now, if this didn't describe the fuckers who were definitely thought to be an unsinkable ship and then ran right into an iceberg and sank way faster than anyone expected it to, I don't know what other movie would sum them up. Armageddon, definitely the Blumpkins, as they just fell completely apart. They started out okay, and then all of a sudden, boom, all hell broke loose. Saving Private Ryan is definitely the warts. Someone definitely needs to save this GM from making yet another terrible decision, because that's all he ever does, and then having another beyond disappointing season. Something About Mary. How else could we go and pick a team besides the Trouser Snakes? I mean, they clearly spent more time playing with themselves than they did, making good fantasy decisions. And then the Waterboy. I know he wasn't around last year, but anyone who knows him knows this is definitely the Google Gang. I mean, he definitely needs to cheat to win because there's definitely something wrong with that man's Abdullah Oblongata. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have our man Hollywood Joe with some great predictions on some Week 1 action. Stay tuned.
Very close call. Could have gone either way. It was right on the line.
Well, Ferguson's not too happy with it, I can tell you that much.
He's beating him like a rented mule.
And the ref's just tuning him out.
Boy, where do you train to take a beating like that?
He said, when's that porch gonna get painted? And that litter box! It's been 3 weeks! 3 weeks! And to think I could have married Don Hoffman! And it wouldn't hurt for you to say that you love me once in a while!
So I'd like to welcome in our special guest today. He is the pick master himself. We haven't had him on in quite a while, but we're bringing him in today. We got the one and only Hollywood Joe. Hollywood, welcome to Bacon's Bits. Good to have you aboard for Week 1. It's good to have you back on the show.
Bacon Bill, glad to be here. Yeah, we got our picks going on this week. I honestly haven't been looking too much. Didn't even know if the season was going to happen. A lot of vaginas in the league this year, so it's glad to see that we made it happen. But yeah, let's jump right into it. I'm very excited for the first pick. 2 OGs from the league got the Sack and the fuckers going head to head. I know Eric, 2-time defending champion. It's a great streak that he's on. Probably won't happen again, as you said in your first video, for another 15 years. So we're hoping that he banked that money and didn't spend it on some Asian hookers like usual. But going into it, first and foremost, talking about Eric's team, tons of running backs he's going to throw at Coach Bill this week. He's got, Zeke and a lot of other guys coming at him. Coach Bill on the other side only went 1 running back really to start, and then a plethora of wide receivers. So which way is it going to fall this week? I don't think that Eric has the best matchups, but the guy's a proven coach. He gets his guys up every week. I think he's going to be ready to roll. On the other side, I don't think Bill has the best wide receiver matchups. I think Amari's going to be smothered by Ramsey all week. AJ, how's he going to come out with Burrow? So on and so forth. But I see the deciding factor. Bill, his namesake defense, the Bills versus the Jets. I actually think that the Bills defense are going to have more touchdowns than the Bills offense. So it's going to be Allen just running around like a loser all week, and then the Bills defense will score 3 times, and that's what gives the fuckers the 106-94 edge over the sack.
It's still a pretty big victory. That's a big victory for the fuckers there. I mean, 12 points is a lot of points. Our matchups, in this league are usually pretty close, and I know the fuckers and the sack usually are pretty close. So we'll have to see. How about we switch gears from the original OGs to 2 of the worst performers from last year? Let's talk about the Blumpkins, and I don't even know what his team name is going to be this week, next week, whatever. But we'll go with GM Paulo and his. I'm going to name my team against whoever I'm playing. I feel this could obviously be one of the worst games of the week, if not the worst. But that also could lead to a close matchup. How do you feel about these 2 duking it out?
Yeah, I completely agree with your sentiment. I know Paulo comes into this one as a slight dog, but I really thought he drafted a pretty balanced team. I know he's going to look to try and take a dump all over Camby like the girl did to Odell the other night. And there's no doubt that the Blumpkins went all in on their receivers. He talked all night about drafting running backs, and he ended up with 15 wide receivers. So not sure why Coach Campbell pulled the audible there. But he definitely went all in on his wide receivers, unlike how Odell went all out on his Charmin stock. So we'll see if it pays off for both of those teams. I do see a slight area of concern for the Blumpkins, and that is his quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, Josh Allen, not really sure what he was thinking. I know he read deep into the Daniel Jones was like Mahomes last year with the points, but let's be honest, it's Daniel Jones. It's not Mahomes. All that being said, I do think that Paulo's going to come out, put up a nice little fight early on, but the Blumpkins are just going to crap all over them. Bambi, 107. Paulo and his ever-changing name, 92.
The name changer's going down again. I can't. I don't know why you would change your name every week. I mean, I guess if you're trying to hide from the fact that you're terrible, that might be a reason, so nobody can really track, like, who's this guy? But he's just going to be at the bottom of the standings, so that works. We also have the HBD, who gets to welcome the brand new GM, Justin, the Justin 2.0, the Google gang, into the league this week. Tell him I'll have a chance to take this rookie out behind the woodshed, give him the beating of his life. The question is, did Justin do enough Google searching to try to put a team together that's going to win, or how do you think this one's going to end up?
I do think he did. I think he had a good little draft. Some of the decisions, we'll see how they play. James White relying on Cam Newton, not Tom Brady, but there's very little running back depth in New England, so could be a nice play. How does Derrick Henry come out? Does he live up to the expectations now that he got paid? Has the big expectation of just running people down? The wide receivers, Mike Evans, is he a 1? Is he a 2? Every week it flip-flops. How do they work with Brady? So, again, I'm very interested to see how this team comes out. What I love about Tom's team, he's got that amazing stack of Breeze and Thomas. I mean, what a 1-2 punch. It's going to be consistent all year. Assuming Breeze doesn't hurt himself again. I mean, he is getting old, but taking injury out of the equation, what a great 1-2. And he's got Julio right behind it. We did have a question about his running backs. I mean, David Johnson probably put up 13 points more than he expected on Thursday night. So if he gets boosts like that all year, look out. I mean, this guy's a perennial powerhouse in the league. He always is around year after year. So I don't know. He got the pick of the draft with Tyler Higbee at like 175. I mean, CBS is already sucking him off. So if he's getting props like that, I think the league could be in trouble. Now, my deciding factor of this week is, can Kyler come out and play? Goes up against that vaunted 49er defense, and the guy shouldn't even won Rookie of the Year last year, but we won't get into that. I'm still a little bitter. But I think that Kyler will not produce, and I think that Tom's just going to run away with this one, 106-89.
I don't know what else to say. Pretty spot on there. I agree with a lot of your sentiments. So I do see Tom winning. I don't know if it'll be as big as what you're predicting, but I could definitely see that, especially with some of those matchups that the Google gang has. Next, we're going to have to break out our Confederate flags because we have the Battle of the Rednecks. The proposers stepping into the ring with the bidets. No, I am not shitting you. Hollywood, what's your potential thoughts on this shit show?
So I really think that this is going to be the closest game of the week. I only got my original projection to be a couple point difference, and it could very easily sway. Patty Cakes came out Thursday, did his thing, 3 touchdowns, plus 200 yards, just consistent. Didn't pop his knee, unfortunately. Coach Joey's coming into this one looking to get that opening week win again. It's funny with this coach. He doesn't really put up the biggest points, but he is like a defensive-minded fantasy coach. Teams usually have trouble scoring against him, and he's really going to lean on that this year. So I know he drafted some good receivers. Kamara fell to him at 8, which he wasn't expecting. He was really hoping to grab another running back on the flip side, but his competitor took him right off the board before he could draft him. I do have intel to know that Jacobs was going at 12. There was no way he's getting past that, so I know he's a little hot about that. Losing Galladay this week is not helping him out. He was really expecting big things. Galladay slams the Bears, so we're going to see how Coach Joey's team comes out after the unfortunate news early in the season. Both of these teams do have a Bills wide receiver, so they're looking to go 1,000 this year in Buffalo. A lot of talk for Brown and Diggs, so who takes the matchup week 1? Gallup is going to be in a shootout, so like I said, this is really, ironically, I think, going to come down to the defenses. You got the Pats versus the Dolphins, which should be huge. Fitzmagic is either going to throw 3 touchdowns for Miami or 3 touchdowns for the Pats. We don't know which one. And then the Niners defense again versus Kyler and crew. So I really think this is going to be a close one. I do see the Bidets actually eking it out. I got him 101.95 right now, but like I said, this one's the one I was very torn about picking.
And both teams, look like they could pull out the victory. So even after the first game so far, it's could go either way. Lastly, which seems to be the theme for Justin and the Trouser Snakes this year, is the bitter rivalry between the Warts and the Snakes. The only thing uglier than this matchup is the GMs for the teams. How do you see this one shaking out?
So I did get a special live feed into the war rooms of the Warts, and every time that Justin made a pick, there was just laughter. So I was not understanding what he was doing so wrong. I went and really looked at the team after the draft. Yeah, I get it. The Gronk and the Melvin Gordon, like the time that they were chosen was pretty hysterical. I mean, the guy did grab Lamar to start and then swung back with Devontae and Ridley. So some really stud receivers that are up and coming in the league. I don't really see too much to laugh at, but I could see where some of the chuckles came out. But if Gordon starts and flourishes in Denver, could be a real sneaky good pick. They're talking big things in Denver, so we'll see if he is able to go the long haul. As far as Alex and that team, And what can he say? He went wide receiver all over. He went running back all over the place. Miles to Hilaire to Gurley and Carson. I mean, there's no doubt that he's got a stable of running backs. That, on the other side, makes his wide receivers struggle. Is DK Metcalf really a number one? And that's going to be the season that this GM's going to deal with all year long. Dak, I mean, what can he say? Great season last year, added some more weapons, trying to get paid. So I could really see Dak taking off this year as well. And, I mean, the rest of the team is kind of just pedestrian. But if these running backs work out for Alex, he's going to walk through this week and quite a few other ones this year. So as much as I wanted to get some hot takes out there and go with the Snakes, I mean, Hilaire put that one to rest on Thursday night. So easily we got the Warts running away, 97-89 over the Snakes.
I agree there as well. I think your prediction's pretty spot on. I think Justin's team, although it's not as terrible as you might think, still not very good. And I think Alex's team can be very surprising this year. And hopefully you're a little better with your predictions than Alex has been. I mean, my man's been predicting a championship since the Clinton administration, but much like Bill, he's been shooting blanks on his dirty clothes since he entered the league. So we'll see. I mean, he always has lots of hype and ends up, floundering at the end. I want to thank you for joining us today. I think your predictions were great. I think it was good seeing you, good hearing from you. Look forward to doing this again at least a couple more times this season. I want to appreciate you for coming on and getting up so nice and early with me and spending some time.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me. Look forward to doing it again anytime you need it.
Awesome. This is Bacon Bill. We're checking out for the week. We'll see you with a little week 1 wrap up and week 2 predictions next week. You guys are all gay and go fuck yourselves.